Hi there, hope you're having a good day. Welcome back to another video. Today we'll be talking about the bounciest basketball shoes that you can get right now. So I picked out like 5 or 6. Let's make it a top 5. Lots of great options if your priority is to jump higher. Well, for someone like me, you don't necessarily jump higher, but they make it easier for you to jump. There are some shoes on this list that are so bouncy that they almost force you to get up at all times. Sometimes it can be a little too much. So I'll make sure to mention their potential downsides as well as overall performance too. And here we go. I'll save some honorable mentions at the end. First shoe, I gotta hit you with the surprise pick. But I've always considered it to be very bouncy, quick, and responsive. That is Yushuai 18. It is more of a high top, but definitely not heavy. Also not bottom heavy. It ensures that you don't have any restrictions caused by the weight of the shoe. Cushion features Boom, the best foam from the brand. It absorbs impact well, but most importantly, you have a nice little boost in the forefoot along with a lot of bounce back in the heel. Bridging the midsole is what they call the synchro adjust system. All you need to know is that it does a great job connecting the two parts so that everything feels smooth and there's not too much of a gap in terms of height. My personal opinion is that the regular version is good enough. And yes, it is bouncier and lighter than the previous versions, Yushuai 17 and 17 low. Now I gotta warn you that based on my experience, this was a shoe that needed a good amount of break-in time. If you were to only try on a pair briefly or jump to a conclusion after 1 or 2 sets, let's say, it might not have gotten comfortable or reached its full potential yet. So give it some time. Your feet will eventually get used to the material. It's on the stiffer side, to be honest. The bounciness will really start to kick in sooner or later too. Overall, the shoe just gives you a nice push, propelling you both forward and upward. That's how I would describe it. Next up, compared to the Yushuais that we just talked about, this will be heavier on feet, but you can still really benefit from the cushioning setup and dynamic effect from Nike LeBron 22. Any LeBron shoe from his main signature line has almost never disappointed in this aspect. We're at the 22 now. Compared to the 20 and 21, it's more of a two-piece outsole construction. This allows you to feel the feedback in the front and back separately. In this case, both the forefoot and rear foot, excellent cushion. Zoom turbo up front, a large volume zoom unit in the heel. What's different this time is the saddle design. It feels very rigid, hard like a rock. So with that acting as a seat, it reduces the softness and foamy effect a little bit, but it ensures that the midsole is stable enough to hold all the cushioning features. Same level of bounciness as the 20 and 21, but a different type of bounce. Pretty firm this time. Nike lowered the retail price by $20, by the way. They made some nice mismatching colorways, and if you're patient enough, LeBrons do appear frequently in the outlets and clearance stores. In a sense, you can even consider these a bulked up version of the Ambassador 13. That was one of his own favorite shoes, I think. He kept going to that instead of the LeBron 19s that one season. Think about it as two separate but loaded pieces, bridged together by that horse saddle part, so stability is guaranteed at the same time. Downside, the weight increase is very noticeable from the previous two models. If you prefer to hoop in something lightweight and you want more of a fast and springy effect from your shoe, this is probably not it for you. Speaking of a lightweight bouncy shoe, I've called this one probably the bounciest low-top basketball shoe I've ever had. I gotta mention the Liren 5 Low, arguably Li-Ning's most popular line as of now, for a good reason. This model reminds me a lot of the Jordan 36 and Jordan 36 Low. You have a similar cutoff design, similar midsole construction, but this is less likely to cause any pinky toe problems, pinching, or soreness. Simply put, the Liren 5 excels at giving you a super springy effect. Boom, their best tech is loaded onto the jump plate. In the heel, it's executed perfectly too. They did like a cushion pod, and there's a lot of compression. From impact protection, comfort, all the way to bounciness, responsiveness, and just keeping your feet active, it really does all the work. Well, my size 10.5 pair is only about 360 grams. As a reference, my previous pick, the LeBron 22, is 460 grams-ish in the same size. So there's quite a big difference in their weight. And again, if you want the lightest, bounciest shoe out there, the Liren 5 Low is my top recommendation. Traction, also durability, those are all fantastic. This brand has basically mastered their grip, so you don't have to worry about that. Just a little bit narrow, and I did have some stitching lines fall off already, material-wise, specific to the colorway I got. One more shoe that I feel like I just have to mention on this list is the Jordan 39. If we were to take out the cushioning aspect alone and evaluate it compared to all the other shoes on the market, this has to be top 3 at least, if not the best one. Full length Zoom X is pure deliciousness. It has a rounded out shape for both the toe box and heel cup. Landings feel very smooth and safe. Getting up in these just feel effortless. Again, I'm not saying that it'll for sure increase your vert, but if you really need that nice loaded effect from the midsole, the Jordan 39 gives you a clear advantage versus some other hoop shoes that lack a good cushion, because it's got a very noticeable bounce in your steps and it's really consistent. You can feel the bounciness throughout the entire footbed. The lack of an outrigger part is still the biggest concern, but it all comes down to your playing style, I think. I don't slide cancel much while I play, so this is perfectly fine for me. Traction, top notch. Durability, much better than the 38. Also using Zoom X, we should not forget about the GT Cut 3 and the new GT Cut 3 Turbo. But as I said in my update video on them, my first pair I started to notice some bottom out effect after a while. The bounce and heel compression are not as crazy as it was initially. So I have to continue to monitor that for the Turbo going forward and let you know later. But Zoom X foam, Zoom X insoles, plus a carbon fiber plate, that's loaded for sure. Rounding out my top 5, I have the Wave Weight 11. I lost count of how many times it's shown up in my top list, so we'll make it quick. But yeah, either way, on the list for the bounciest shoes out there, the WOW 11 has to make it. No brainer. The curvature, rigidity, the carbon fiber plate, the system installed where they sandwich the plate in between boom, all of these work effectively in adding to the springiness. The shoe itself is really not as heavy as it looks, but breathability kind of sucks, to be honest. I realized that these bounciest shoes mostly have a nasty price tag on them. From Wade, their All City 12 Encore is also pretty bouncy, with some similar features to the WOW 11. It can serve as a substitute. There's also the Shadow 6 that has maybe the best energy return in that price tier, just a little bit above $100. Remember I mentioned that I had 6, so this one is really close, but I just couldn't really take out any of those 5 because they're all so bouncy. Anyways, you can absolutely go for the Anta KT 10. Carbon fiber plate, loaded feeling, a lot of bounce back in the heel. Similar cushion to the Kaiwan, but better. You get a stronger kickback from the nitrogen foam here. Easy to get at and just really fun to use. Another honorable mention would be the Joker one. The way this shoe feels, man, I'm like stepping onto a so good. Jokic has 2 criteria for his shoes. High cut, bouncy as fuck. And this one has excellent traction at the same time. However, there is an issue that's been bothering me. It mostly has to do with the fit. From the same brand, 361 degrees, their AG5 has quite a lot of bounce in it. Pretty elevated feeling on feet. GT Cut 3 and GT Cut 3 Turbo, very bouncy also. If you want a cheaper bounce, more affordable I should say, you can go for the Shadow 6 from Wade. Full length boom on one of their cheapest models. That's amazing value. Down issue 6 is decent too. More of a stiff kind of bounce, but when you play in them, everything feels clean and crispy. Very straightforward, especially ideal for the faster guards, I believe. Yeah, those are basically the honorable mentions. Oh, and the 2A V5, Fresh Foam BB V2 from New Balance. Now, as you may have known already, with these top lists by category, I'll usually try to focus on the newer releases, just to be more relevant for your consideration. But some older releases that may be available still, I'd say GT Jump 2 and Wave 10. These 2 are just hands down 2 of the bounciest hoop shoes released from the past couple of years maybe. I know Wave is still re-releasing the 10s, dropping new colorways even. GT Jump 2, I found some delicious deals at the Nike clearance store. Those were recent trips, so go. You might be able to cop, well, depending on when you're watching this obviously. If you could get that jumbo deluxe cushion for less than 80 bucks. Sounds pretty tasty to me. And that's about it for my list on the basketball shoes that gave me the most bounce. If you have any other great bouncy options, feel free to share with us down in the comments. Also, if you had a different experience playing in the ones that I mentioned in this video, let me know as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.